love is the ultimate biohack. It's the ultimate longevity pill. It's the ultimate happiness hack. If you're not in love, if you're not married, you have like twice the probability of having a heart attack. If you're married, you make 3 times as much money as if you're single. And so it turns out that being in love, and more specifically having a lifetime romantic relationship, pays off, pays the most dividends across the most dimensions of life. I call it the true love factor. And I've discovered this over decades. 30 years ago, I was reading Dr. Thomas Stanley's work about affluent psychology and kind of, demographics and psychographics. And he pointed out that most affluent people are married. And that's where I saw, oh, that's kind of interesting. And then I remember reading about the Framingham study and, the heart health study, the multi-generational study. And in there, it said that people who were married had a much lower probability of having a heart attack. And then I just started seeing this pattern. And maybe last year I realized, oh my gosh, I think that it's the one thing you can do in your life that has the highest ROI across the most dimensions. Now, it's challenging, but it also has huge payoffs.
So the hardest thing you can do actually has you live the longest.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. It's no accident that when we elect a president, they have to be married. People who we respect and admire in culture have to show that they can maintain a relationship and hold on to a mate and have a family. And so being in love actually generates more self-esteem and respect in the cultural context. People take you more seriously. When you have a partner, they're like, oh, they can't be a psychotic mass murderer or something, right? So I think it's a status indicator. It garners respect. If you have children, it literally confers immortality to you, like through your children, your DNA. I think the idea that you could create things together that are collaborative value for the world allows you to leave a legacy that also produces an impact long term.
Well, the research, right? And I read this on the internet, so all this stuff has to be the way it is, right? But it says you're happier, you're more fulfilled, more purpose, more sex, more travel, lower stress. Like it just has all of these different payoffs. Now, by the way, you have to be in a happy marriage.
Healthy, thriving.
Healthy, thriving relationship. That doesn't mean without conflict.
Yep.
In fact, healthy, thriving relationships have conflict, right? That's actually part of the relationship.
Yeah. But what they can do is come back from the conflict. They can repair, they can find their way back to their connection. And every time they have a conflict, the relationship upgrades in terms of their mutual understanding of each other. So using conflict and alchemizing it into connection is a skill that indicates, long-term thriving relationships.
Yeah. And most people just don't realize consciously all the payoffs that having a successful romantic relationship confer to their life. And so they kind of look at it almost as, well, it would be nice to have this relationship, or, well, the relationship itself is hard, and so I don't know if it's worth it, or you're difficult, and so I don't know if, I should stay with you, and not noticing all of these kind of myriad benefits.
And remember, the relationship is supposed to be a developmental, transformational crucible for your growth and your self-actualization. That's actually the game we're playing. How do you hone yourself into the most extraordinary version that's, creating value and living your life's purpose? And your partner is actually, their job is to be a sacred mirror. Alex and Allison Gray first called it sacred mirror. And I love this frame. Your partner reflects back to you all your beauty, your poetry, your magnificence, but also all your myopias, your madness, the parts of you that go unconscious into habits and compulsions. And that's actually what conflict's about. You feel that your partner has left the present moment, they've gone into a pattern, and they're doing their little crazy. And most conflict is about trying to wake your partner up to come back to this moment that's happening right now instead of being abducted by a defense mechanism or a pattern from childhood. So using your partner as an indicator of where you are in your developmental process, their job is to stand fiercely for your greatness and to help emancipate you from your small defended self into your highest version.
Yeah.
And actually, you don't fall in love with another person, really. You actually fall in love with who you get to be around them, through them, beside them. You fall in love with your partner as a portal to your highest self, to your greatness. And so it's your partner's vision of you that actually influences and guides you towards who you want to become, because it's their vision that they offer. and them seeing you in that future successful self that helps support you in arriving there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And having a partner means having someone that's right there, right up against you, right next to you. And so there's almost like having an extra layer of conscience that's always watching out for you. I remember in the Framingham study, it talked about how men who are married, they eat healthier than men who aren't married. So that kind of, leads to, obviously, if you eat healthier, you're going to have less heart disease. And financially, if you're partnered with someone, you've got someone watching the books with you, so you can't just be out gambling away your money or, spending it on things that are, a total waste.
And I mean, being in love is a forcing function. It literally is a beautiful, intricate, golden trap that forces you to become more present, more conscious, and climb out of your habits and patterns. And it forces you, like going to the gym, it forces you into healthier but more present, conscious actions that are born of the moment and not patterns from the past.
So even though being in love is extremely challenging, it is the challenging, like it's the ultimate Everest challenge in life. It's the one that has the most payoffs across the most dimensions, and it's the one that's the most worth it. And so, if you're ready for it in spirit, then take it on and go for it. But get that, it's not all roses, that it's a real challenge, and but go for it.
I mean, you made a reference to Everest, and I actually do think climbing Mount Everest is something that people take on because they want to actualize, they want to reach a certain level of health and accomplishment and achievement. And I think if you go into a relationship knowing that it's going to take work, just like you go to the gym, I think relationships are like, or I should say, I think true love is like the emotional CrossFit games. When you're doing a CrossFit game, you're not like, oh my God, I'm tired, I'm sweating, this is so hard. It's goddamn CrossFit. So if when you're going to a true love relationship, this is going to take something. It's going to require me to climb out of all my historic habits and patterns and ways that I go unconscious. But it's going to be worth it in the end because I'm going to actually have a more extraordinary life. I'm going to live longer and I'm going to become closer to the person I dream of being. Then you'll realize it's worth the hassle.